work with FBI, and
Yeah.
the FBI, they get a lot of heat when it relates to this stuff, but
Yeah.
the FBI, whether you like them or not, they're here to protect us. But
Yeah.
they're just like the rest of the community. They
Mhm.
live in the beginning of the information age, and they're dealing with the huge growth in online child predators and
Mhm.
online child pornography.
Mhm.
So this is why, as it relates to Edinburgh, Scotland, and Lithuania, because I know you guys are listening, is it's a matter of time. And I
Yeah.
don't care if it takes 1 week or 10 years.
Mhm.
I promise there will be a day that, if not, well, I'm not going to go to Lithuania, although I hear it's a beautiful country, is somebody will be calling them out and bringing
Mhm.
them to justice, because that is what has to happen.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. What was there? There was something else I wanted to ask you about that we had talked about on the phone, but we haven't talked about tonight. I can't remember. We didn't talk very long on the phone, so what was it? It was something that happened recently. I can't remember. My memory's going. I'll tell you, it's a terrible mess. But these people that are remote and they have the safety of distance. What about when they want to troll someone who's closer? Are they more reluctant to engage in that just because they've lost their distance barrier?
Well, if distance, geographic proximity is closer, so let's
Mm-hmm.
say I'm getting trolled, but it's the county over, or let's
Mm-hmm.
say it's upstate New York, which is close to the Canadian border, or even
Mm-hmm.
Canada. Let's say Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's no research that proves it, but as the distance decreases, what I believe, I can't prove this,
Mm-hmm.
that the severity of their trolling reduces. I believe, and this is
Mm-hmm.
the whole new industry of geographic forensics, which a lot of it deals with homicide and serial killers.
Mm-hmm.
The closer the troll lives to me, I believe, if I'm the victim, the target, the less severe they become. I can't
Oh.
prove that. That to me is, because I know that in a troll's mind, because of the dark tetrad,
Mm-hmm.
they're already thinking is, can this tall guy, Kevin, who's got
Mm-hmm.
military experience, can he get
Mm-hmm.
in his car or in a little Cessna and
Mm-hmm.
fly up here to kick my
Mm-hmm.
ass? They
Yep.
think of that, you
I'll
know?
I'll find a way if I have to, but anyway, I didn't know about Anonymous. I didn't know that they were. I was completely neutral on them. I know they're a powerful group, but hearing what you're saying about them, I could probably be talked into becoming a fan, because if they're made mostly of good people doing good things, even if it's just to expose security flaws here and attack a troll there, then I'm behind them. But it seems like they always do get painted with this. It's a witch hunt, really, and there's not. Is there anything out there, say a documentary or maybe a program that came on a respectable network that defends Anonymous? Something that shows the other
Well,
side?
there's plenty. Well, there are plenty. There's both. There are,
Mm-hmm.
you just YouTube, just
Mm-hmm.
is Google Anonymous, and then
Mm-hmm.
go to YouTube. There's documentaries that both defame them, and there's
Mm-hmm.
documentaries that support them.
Mm-hmm.
All I can speak for, Kevin, is myself. And like I said, Rhino Warrior, Pontifex, Roy Recon Ghost, they're just a few of
Mm-hmm.
anonymous members that help me
Yeah.
every single day,
Yeah.
7 days a week, available 24/7, 365. That's just a small handful. That's just three of goodness, the 40 or 50 that I can personally say that are helping. And it's not just helping with trolls.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest, well, here's something real quick. We created in Google Plus, and this is where the trolls get, ugh. We created, and thank you to Rhino Warrior Pinkie Pie and some of the anonymous members, we created a Google Plus community called Op Pedo Hunt, which
Mm-hmm.
is a private community where we would go both in Google Plus and through other, social media and websites,
Mm-hmm.
is to locate, identify, report, and track online child predators
Mm-hmm.
and online child pornographers. And it was a private group. Well, guess what the trolls did? The trolls, and I have evidence, and I know who they are. I know their
Mm-hmm.
usernames. I'll eventually get their real names. They will be dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
They complained to Google Plus, and this is when you're dealing with disinformation and false statements of fact. false statement of fact. They were effective at what? Getting Op Pedo Hunt suspended.
Are you kidding?
Not anybody can go. I am one of the owners of Op Pedo Hunt, and that was, like I said, Rhino Warrior, Pinkie Pie, Pontifex, Roy Recon. They were three, and as of right this moment, it was suspended. So literally, I, as well as the others, had to go in and remove all the posts, and now I'm waiting to hopefully Google will unsuspend Pedo Hunt. Now,
so you had to go make a case for yourself there?
Well, what they do is Google Plus, just like all social media, they suspend your community, whether it's public or private, and they say until, is to remove any offensive content or content that breaches the content guidelines, remove that and hit appeal. So last week I removed as much as I could. Now there isn't one post left in Op Pedo Hunt, and I'm waiting to hear back from the appeal, which they'll get back to me, on whether or not it can be unsuspended. Now, if it stays suspended, I just create another one. Right. But the fact is, these internet trolls they're the ones who reported it. And the thing is, Kevin, not all of these internet trolls are children. Many of these internet trolls are grown adults with what? Children themselves.
Oh, Jesus.
So you would think internet trolls would say, well, that Op Pedo Hunt, don't mess with them because they're helping to make cyberspace a safer place for my kid.
How much you want to bet that same Google format that you're talking about has pedophile groups that share information on how to target children that have not been suspended?
Oh, certainly that occurs. There are pedophile groups and all of it. But the fact that I have evidence, and it wasn't just myself, but, we have actual evidence, and I published it, in Google Plus. Anybody can see it. I have evidence of the trolls actually saying in their post comment threads, and I have screenshots of actually saying it's time to go report. Let's go report. I know the usernames. I know their little communities, and it's just not myself. Well, guess what? The good thing is, and once again, proof is in the pudding. Who's helping now to target them and to identify are members of Anonymous. Yeah. Yes.
Well, that's awesome. Those 3 people from Anonymous you mentioned, they're already friends of mine, and they're welcome on the show anytime, by the way. Now, the rest of Anonymous, I'm not real sure about. It sounds to me like they, I don't know a lot about them, so I don't want to say anything. I'm certainly not against them. They're kind of scary, really, because I think if they want to take somebody down, whether it's a business or an individual, they're going to take them down.
And there's no doubt, just like the non-anonymous community, Kevin, and the other typologies of a predator within Anonymous, there are folks who are psychopath, but it's a small percentage, if anything. And if I could, well, there's no way to do it because Anonymous is what? Anonymous. I guarantee Anonymous in itself as an entity, because it's decentralized, it's not like you go to the House of Congress, House of Anonymous. I guarantee they have even lower rates of criminality and psychopathy because the hallmark, the founding pillar of Anonymous is what? Is awareness, is getting involved, is not allowing the oppressors, the haves, it's creating, a cyberspace in a world that is fair. Mm-hmm. Now, are there anarchists in Anonymous? Of course, but there's anarchists everywhere.
True.
But Anonymous gets a bad rap because you have, and I don't want to get into, you have the elites, you have the oppressors. Where, gosh darn it, well, it's much easier for me to pass judgment and blame a group than to take responsibility for the guy that's next door or my local government official.
Right. Absolutely. I think we're heading ahead on whatever this is going to turn out to be. And like you said, it's I was thinking about Ferguson recently, and I don't want to get into that discussion, but what was different about this was that four people showed up. Did you see this story from I don't know, the Protect America group or something? It's a militia group. And I predicted some time ago that with race relations the way they are in this country, that we may be looking at a civil war again not too long from now. And that kind of thing, the militia showing up. Now, I think they were within their legal rights, and if they were, more power to them. But they weren't welcomed by protesters or the police. It was a third element. That's kind of how I see Anonymous right now. They're a third element. They can make shit happen, and they can do it legally or illegally, but they're organized. And an organized group is a dangerous group if they want to be. But I also think an organized group can be a helpful group depending on the path they decide to take. And it seems to me that from the philosophies I've heard from Anonymous, that they're really against abuse, big power, like you were talking about earlier, the haves and the have-nots. It almost seems like a leveling force is out there at work that almost spontaneously emerged. I wonder if that's natural in a cultural structure.
Once again, I am not an Anonymous member because I'm, Dr. Newt, I'm focused on iPredator. Right. Anonymous is not organized, but they're not disorganized. Right. Anonymous is a large group of citizens that have a belief in net neutrality, a free internet, and what they don't subscribe to is exploitation and harming others.
Amen.
They don't believe, and these are not that there's like constitution of Anonymous. I'm sure there's, but Anonymous is trying to help create equality. And obviously there can, that is a theory. There can never, since the beginning of human civilization, we go back to the ancient Sumerians and all the way, Egyptians, there's always been the oppressor and the oppressed. There's always been the haves and the have-nots. There's always been secret societies. There's always been this pecking order. Well, what Anonymous tries to do is to bring attention to that and to try to reduce the oppressor-oppressed dynamic, to bring them closer together. Because now if I can out you, Mr. Oppressor or Ms. Oppressor or oppressor, group, just like internet trolls or pedophiles, well, you know what? You're not going to be doing that now, are you? Right. And that's what Anonymous, and that's why I'm proud to advocate for them, because they need to be recognized. But they always get the shit end of the stick. It seems like when anything happens on not a huge scale, but a semi-large scale. I mean, I'm surprised now that we hear all about this, which is cyber terrorism, about ISIS, Alil, whatever you want to call it, the Islam, they've got different names. I'm surprised Anonymous hasn't been blamed for that yet.
Yeah, they will be. Give them time. And it's funny that, like, I listen to NPR sometimes, and they like to say, anytime they say ISIL or ISIS, they say, the self-proclaimed religious group ISIS. In other words, like, they're not actually the Islamic State. We don't want to confuse these with Islams, so we have to put a qualifier ahead of it. The self-proclaimed, meaning only they claim they're Islamic. It's getting... political correctness is running into bloody warfare in a very strange way now, I've noticed. And this is a form of warfare, really. Trolls online. Anonymous and people like Anonymous who have some power, but whatever they want to do, whatever I know, if you get 3 or 4 people from Anonymous together, they could probably take out anything because they can get in and they can make changes. And isn't that what destruction is all about? That's what a cancer does. But it's also what a nuclear bomb does that's going to save your life because you've destroyed the enemy. It all depends on the cause and the motivation. And I hope that they're doing good things, and I believe you. I have no reason not to. I just don't know much about Anonymous, but I know the 3 members you mentioned I'm already a huge fan of, because I don't know why people aren't more bothered by this. What is that about, Doc? Why aren't people in an uproar about the huge tidal wave of trolling that's going on?
For the same reason why, and I say this all the time, whether it's offline or offline, is we as a society, and I don't know if it's just part of the human condition or because